But yeah, it's in terms of the white female relationship thing.
Yeah.
It's complicated. I wanted to hear your experience.
My experience?
Yeah, like what is?
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's definitely embarrassing to start on it like that, but sure. Yeah, I don't know. They're weird. I don't know. Niggas are weird.
The white women are weird?
Yeah. Well, I'm weird, but I'm like cool and like can like address like, I don't know, being alive and being human. I don't think white people in general are equipped. I don't think WASP culture equips. They're not supposed to reckon with their own humanity. Yeah.
Can you dig into that? 'Cause
sure.
I'm curious what you mean.
Yeah. I think on the spectrum of races, right? I think blackness, if there's the extremities with white and blackness, if we're talking about that kind of polarity shit, like blackness, both were in America, both were invented to kind of contrast each other. So black people, we're very frank, and those go to certain fucked up stereotypes, you know, like we're with nature and shit like that. You know, shit like that. And like, I don't know, my parents sent me to Africa, so I got to.
That's what I wanted to.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah. I'm Nigerian. And if you want to, since this is on the record, Nigerian niggas might be mad at me, but I do think Africans, immigrants in general, have a really weird relationship with whiteness. You know, it's aspirational. You know what I mean?
Can you elaborate on why?
Because you're not gonna come over here just to be a nigga. That's just to be frank. It doesn't matter how dark you're not leaving Africa to be a nigga. Mm-hmm. You weren't even a nigga in Africa. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they come here and they're like, wait, I'm a nigga? I'm like, no. I was the king of a very modest village where I'm from, okay? And they're like, no, nigga, you better go and like, I don't know.
You just black out here.
Yeah, you just black.
Do they? And I've talked to a fair amount of comedians with immigrant parents that would be considered first generations, and they all talk about that. Mexican in particular talk about how Mexican and Asian have talked about how like
Nigerians are just like are like chocolate covered Asians. Yeah, it's just the same thing.
We're gonna dig into this.
Yeah,
the Nigerians are gonna fucking.
They don't
revolt.
Nigerians don't fuck with me.
So how do they picture black people?
How do they picture? Okay,
black Americans. You know?
I mean, it's like different. So like you have Nigerians who are in Nigeria, and those are just like regular ass niggas, just regular. Then you have like, you know, wealthy people there, and like my cousins, like they behave fucking white. You know what I mean? Like they're just like. And they can't address anything. They're super passive aggressive, and they just like they do stereotypical like, but they don't. That's not even. They even go to like Ukraine for school. Like I have cousins who went to Ukraine for school, and then you have like Nigerians here. So then you have like the parents. You know, and the immigrant parents they're all kind of the same. Like they're all very like emotionally broken, and aspirational capitalists. You know what I mean? So if they can make it in the capitalist system, understandably, they will do whatever they will and can, and so on and so forth.
Okay, now then to speak to the perspective I've heard from immigrant comedians. Or comedians with immigrant parents.
Yeah.
Their logic is, my family came from a worse off situation to a better situation.
Yeah.
Therefore, I like America.
Yes.
It's very summarized.
That's how I feel personally.
Okay.
That's why I think it's very funny. You know, like we're near like a Logan Square in like North Side Chicago. We have a lot of like very like liberal young people being like, fuck America. I love this country. This country is fucking sick. Like, I think Gerard Carmichael, he said it before I had like it's like, would you, like, do you want, go to Africa right now? Like, go. And like, to be, again, since it's on the record, just, like, I can't be too careless, like, because Africa is so dependent on it is like, actually I have beef with my like family, but like it's a beautiful place. It taught me a lot about humanity. One thing that I found so profound about Africa is if and when, because I can see you visiting Africa.
Oh, man.
Yeah, to take a wife or something. To take one of my cousins as a wife. If what I found profound when I was like 12 when they sent me away was, so if you fly over America, right, you will see like gray squares, you know, all the metropolitan shit, right? And then you'll see the ocean, right? And then when you get to Africa, it's fucking forest everywhere, nigga. It's amazing, bro. Like the shit's fucking, it's, I don't know, it was really profound. It was like, yeah.
Have you ever taken mushrooms?
No, I actually am sober. I don't do anything.
Okay, we're going to talk about that too.
Sure.
Write that down. Collecting all the data.
Sure, yeah.
To speak to America and my feelings and how I'm writing drugs.
America's horrible, I just want to say.
Yeah,
I still love it, though.
It's what I'm realizing, because I speak in a very blanket extreme, because we're comics, that's kind of how we do it.
Yeah.
But if I were to add a little subtlety to it, I think another comedian said this, that I love Chicago.
Okay.
I've never been to New York. I love New York.
Okay.
I would love to go to Atlanta.
Ooh.
LA is cool.
Atlanta.
San Diego, San Francisco.
Yeah.
But these are all the cities.
Yes.
As soon as we drive out of the city, I'm like, oh, people been hung out here. I don't like this. So when I say I hate America, I think what I'm saying is I hate or I dislike the suburbs. The concept of a suburb.
See, you're talking about the fake idea of whiteness again.
Can we break that down, though?
Yeah. Well, because like Europe, right? Like where white people are from, all of them were like, you weren't even white.
Right.
You know,
Italian.
You were Italian, you were Irish, and all those niggas had beef. Mm-hmm. Like, people talk about, like, oh, in Africa, there are these civil wars. Nigga, Europe, bro? Like, the way Europeans talked about it was like, I forgot the exact quote, but it's like snakes, like, pouncing on. Yes.
They just on sight.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Like, they fucking, you know what I mean? And, like, how I imagine essentially when they're leaving to create, like, where America's like a reset, right? Okay, this is a new game. Okay, what was our issues from before? Okay, we were fucking Irish. We were the niggas. Oh, I like that word, nigga. Okay, let's put that in the back of our pocket. Well, we can't all be okay. So like, let's create the we already kind of had this prototypical idea of race, you know, through different tribes and countries. Let's delineate that more distinctly, right? And I imagine like the slave economy was, you know, already there, and that just, you know, became more distinct. Yeah. You know, black people, you know, and white people couldn't even handle this kind of climate to like work in.
Yeah,
you know?
it's the color of your skin is just an easy identifiable difference. That's really what it came down to. And from what I understand of history,
well, I'm sorry, but I mean, and again, this is all super like common info, but like all the shit they said about niggas, they said about Irish people. Like, they called them monkeys and all that. You know what I mean? Like, white people are so funny because literally you have entire cultures like Boston and Australia that, like, you see in the dialect is affected by alcoholism. Like, you know?
I know exactly.
So, like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, to me, at the moment industrialization happens, we get all of these different Irish neighborhoods, German neighborhoods, so on and so forth, and then black people come from it was the Great Migration, I believe it was. Black people come from the South after slavery, and they're like, let's move and create the suburb, this in between a city and the countryside. And there's something bastardized about that. And the suburban life is, to me, when you say whiteness, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, I'll speak of myself personally because I'm not trying to put, like, you know, Nigerians on blast. But, like, I'll speak of what I wanted. So, like, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm from, you know, Kinsman. I'm on the east side. And, you know, that's the hood. Like, and it's like, obviously it was like dangerous or whatever, but really what I remember it being, it was just boring. It was desolate. If you go there, it's nothing there. It is nothing. And I love the people. Those people looked out for me, but it was nothing there. And I wanted nothing more than to get the fuck out and go to the suburbs, because what I saw on the television was the suburbs was where shit was happening.
Boy Meets World.
All this shit, like green grass, nigga, fences, tree houses, adventures and shit. You go out in the hood, it's a fucking crackhead sweeping your sidewalk.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't go on adventures with him. You know, your African father will yell at you, and you know.
Adventures does sound fun.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's okay. This will be interesting. I want to transition to drugs.
Sure.
So you're sober?
Yeah.
You've never consumed?
I mean, only second. This is like only like secondhand, like weed. I'm sure I've been high.
Sure.
Yeah, just like being around niggas. I'm 25.
Okay. And what was the decision? Why?
What was this? I mean, it definitely had to be due in part to like a very strict background growing up. So like, you know, just a lot of things I wasn't doing. But like, I think when it came time for me to like decide who I was going to be as an adult, like I was just like, when I was really deciding like, oh, I think I really might pursue this art thing that's been kind of with me my whole life. Shit. Like I might be doing drugs if I needed it to be like a good artist, like because I was listening to like Pink Floyd as a junior and senior in high school, so I was like, okay, this shit's coming from like a very psychedelic place, and I really connect with that kind of surreal energy. Even still, but like then like I found like Tyler the Creator came just in time for me, where like I had like encountered him initially, like, but right before I left Africa, you know, I mean, right before I left to Africa, right, like in 7th grade, like Oprah was talking about Yonkers, and she was like, oh, have rappers gone too far? I was like, I think they have. I really think they have. And but like, little did I know, a couple years later, this nigga would fucking just like, and
he's sober too, I believe.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, okay, he can do that kind of shit. It's really just discipline and just like being open-minded. Okay, because like, you know, drugs aren't bad, but I have a very addictive personality, and they don't, most of the time, they don't lead you to like being very productive, which is what I need.
I can agree with that when it comes to weed.
Sure.
I would say that I'm a drug addict.
Okay.
For marijuana specifically.
Sure.
Like,
is that even considered? Because I don't even see at this point like marijuana like
as a drug.
I feel it's like spinach you smoke. Like it's like good for you.
I think that maybe in the 70s, but they have been modifying.
Yeah, I've heard.
Like they've been really upping the ante on weed.
Yeah.
To the
they
point,
got weed Catalina now.
It's crazy. There's a you ever heard of dabs? You know what dabs
I've heard of it. Yeah.
That's a drug. Whoa. Like I took a dab once, and I remember a haze and looking up, and everyone staring at me and laughing. I'm like, what's going on? Whoa. And like, Aaron, you have been staring at guitar strings for 40 minutes.
That's hilarious. That's crazy.
It's like you're on. You are high. And as far as I stay away from that.
Okay.
So like regular weed is what I like to smoke. But
sure.
But I think anything that feels good can become addictive. Anything that with your dopamine. And for me, it's hard to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to eat without smoking.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I would say like, oh, I'm addicted to weed.
But that's what I mean, like, especially for like black people, like life is so stressful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what that's why I would consider it.
Sure.
Or like
it has benefits.
Yeah.
It has benefits.
And humans like has evolved like besides certain things that like natural remedies that I feel like in post-industrialism, post-Christianity, we're like, oh, what the fuck, even though we evolved to use the shit.
If I were to say there was a drug that was truly beneficial, it would be shrooms.
Okay.
100% would be shrooms.
Shrooms and ayahuasca, though, I want to try those. Like,
good luck.
Well, because I'm fucked up, and I want to, like, figure out
What do you mean you fucked the wine?
Just like, you know, like trauma and weird shit, and even how we opened up the podcast. You know, sure. Just life really just fucks you up. And I think I'm a relatively introspective person. But I'm curious to I'm just looking for knowledge. You know, I just want to learn more.
You will find that in mushrooms, and you'll find that in yourself. With the caveat that you don't have any sort of history of bipolar or psycho issues in your family. Because it can unlock that.
See, that's why I'm like,
Yeah, that's what's scary.
Yeah, because I think we have a lot of mental illness, unaddressed mental illness in my family.
I would say if you reach 30 without it coming out, then you're probably good.
What does coming out mean exactly?
There's from what I understand of certain types of psychosomatic issues that are genetic.
Yeah.
In around your 20s is when it can start to manifest.
Yeah.
And marijuana or shrooms or anything like that can just make it happen faster. But if you can get past a certain age and it hasn't happened, it's probably not going to.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I have a lot of like breakdowns, like mental breakdowns and shit, like anxiety and shit.
We're gonna dig into that.
Oh sure.
Okay, because you brought up trauma and weird shit.
Yeah.
Like, what is there something specific you're thinking of?
I don't know. I mean, my mama and daddy hit me a lot. You know.
Okay.
Shit like that. I don't know how much I want to talk about all that because it's kind of like boring. And by boring, I mean unbelievably dark and uninteresting to me.
Just sad.
Yeah, it was just a bummer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know.
We won't. Yeah, we won't.
Yeah.
I would say for me personally, mushrooms have, I truly would not be the person I am today without them.
Sure.
And it strips you of your ego, and it forces you to look at yourself egoless.
Okay.
Which is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes beautiful, sometimes horrific.
Yeah.
And I would say that's the main positive.
Interesting. Was your demeanor ever different? You always have you exude a lot. You have you very much I forgot.
I exude.
Yeah, like definitely, obviously, like a confidence, but I forget what you're like an emitter. You know what I mean?
I don't. What is that?
I forget. I feel I feel so bad because I just have very saltatory knowledge of certain things, but I can just feel it where it's your energy.
Yeah.
If you're a performer, you definitely, some people are very internal, you know what I mean, you project well, you're not afraid of eye contact, you have a lot of energy, you know what I mean. And I'm was that always that way?
It was that, except it was, let me do the thing. I think I've always been a person that there's a thing about me that I call it a spark.
Okay.
I think certain people have a spark.
Sure.
And I would say that I'm one of those people, except when I was younger, that spark was immature.
Okay.
Had a lack of focus. Was very angry. Was wild and unpredictable. And as time has gone on, as I've gotten older, mushrooms and so on and so forth, I've learned how to hone it and polish it so that it's the best version it can be right now.
Sure.
And that's how I would describe mushrooms. Was a big part of that.
Okay.
Big part of it.
Wow.
My hair is this way because of mushrooms.
Okay.
And Black Panther.
Sure. Wait, Black Panther? Oh, that's kind of recent.
2018.
Yeah.
2018 was the first time I took mushrooms. It was around the same time I watched Black Panther.
Wow. Yeah, because dread fits you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I look weird without. Yeah.
No, yeah. Hey, I'll readily say you're a good-looking guy, but yeah, you probably.
So do you feel, I don't know, do you feel like you're comfortable in yourself?
I do, but being myself, at least right now, is really painful.
Okay.
Yeah. Why? I don't. It's just something I've been reckoning with, especially the last couple of years. I really feel because when they sent me away, it was to unmake me. It was for me not to be myself, for me to be conform. Yeah.
I'm gonna break this down.
Sure.
In a timeline. So pre-Africa,
I'm in Cleveland.
You're in Cleveland, Ohio. You're with your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
And what's life like for
What's
you?
life?
Pre-Africa.
So like I am like, so you know, like I'm like a really energetic kid, like very creative, very unstable. You know, and my dad would always allude to me having some kind of mental illness. I think I just tested for autism. Sure. Yeah, so like, and just like misbehaved a lot in class.
Misbehave like throw shit?
No, I was black. Like I'm like a sensitive pussy, like just like at my core. So I wasn't even like, if I would like ever be violent, it was like in the house where my parents were violent.
I'm just double checking, making sure we're good. Okay, your parents are violent. Okay.
Yeah, so like, you know, all that shit's like learned behavior, but it's, you know, my fault as an 8, 9, 10-year-old. You know,
you feel like a sensitive pussy?
Yeah, I'm super sensitive, and I don't say that in like a pejorative way, because I love pussy and my sense. Yeah, I love pussies. I'm a hard dick. Oh, I'm a man. Cool. No, I'm super fucking, and I mean, like, more of the things that made me quote unquote masculine as I was growing up was because I was a sensitive pussy. My violence, my anger, my vindictiveness towards other people was because I just didn't know how to process my emotions, and the pain just forced me to lash out to people. So I take in a lot. Yeah.
So you're living in Cleveland, Ohio, being a little black pussy
weirdo.
Weirdo.
Yeah.
And what? Because I connect to that. When we first. We'll come back around to the African.
Sure.
When I first met you, I don't remember the moment. Do you remember the moment we met?
I mean, I remember. I feel like I saw you.
I popped up in 2021.
Yeah, I remember. It was fuck, it closed down. Rest in peace.
Not bartend. North Bar.
North Bar.
Yeah.
Yes, North Bar. Rest in peace, North Bar.
I miss North Bar.
Great place. Yeah. Horrible to do stand up. But it's consistent. You know, it was there.
It was my first open mic in Chicago.
And I think I don't know if I saw your first one, but I would see you there a lot. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, okay, who's this big nigga? Wait. I'm not trying to come at you.
Oh, I'm so excited.
You would sit down, and I didn't like that.
Every comic hates me because of that.
But you finally reached. You finally become funny enough where you can do it. Where I'm like, all right, the nigga's making me. But at that time, no offense, you just weren't making me laugh enough personally.
To earn.
And I'm just gonna speak frankly because you're a comic and you're funny now. Because I have niggas who are my friends now. Where when I saw them, they stunk. They were trash. I'm not saying you were ever trash. I'm like, nigga, you better get up and tell these jokes, nigga, because these jokes. But now you can sit, so whatever.
Appreciate it. I got the star of approval from Obi.
No, my star of approval means nothing. I'm a dishwasher.
There is something about that though. Because I've always liked. It's always made me feel comfortable.
Sure. That's the most important thing for stand-up is being comfortable.
I've always been comfortable just kind of sit. What I go for in terms of my style is a little more. I really want to connect emotionally.
Yeah.
And there's something about sitting that, if done properly, does that. But I know what you're saying. Comedians see that as cocky.
Sure. It's not even just like. It's also just too many niggas doing this shit, bro.
Are there a lot of them doing
It's a lot of niggas doing stuff. So it's like you see a lot of niggas doing impressions, and it takes a lot, like impressions of like, oh, you're doing Dave, or you're doing. So it's myself included, where it's like, and it's just like, I just have very little patience with anyone until like if you're funny and I know you're funny, like when I did you and Ty's show, what a delight. What a delight. It was like, you know, like I was like, I'm here because I love comedy, but I love comedy so much that like it really hurts me when I see niggas really being trash. And then it's also annoying when I see a nigga doing, it's like, oh, You think you're Rogan.
Yeah. Yes. I think I think at this point in Chicago, and I agree, I've gotten better.
Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're great.
Thank you. We got to talk about the Harry Tubman bit eventually.
Oh, yeah, that's such a good bit.
But yeah, it's something that I don't know. I just felt comfortable.
Yeah.
We have Africa and meeting the first time vibes and you just seemed weird in the way that I like. I like weird people.
Sure.
And comedians have a tendency to be weird.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What impression did I'm always curious because like that's why I'm saying like if I'm talking about like whether I'm self-actualized, I'm stoked on being myself. I wouldn't prefer to be any other nigga, and it didn't always used to be that way. I like what I see in the mirror. It's just, as a sensitive person, I do feel an incompatibility with the world, and like in the last year and a half, 2 years, like people have been telling me like, oh, you're weird, and I hadn't heard that kind of in years. Like when I was a kid, I'd hear it a lot, but then I'm sure like being an adolescent, I kind of hit it, and then but like, yeah, I feel like the goal has been trying to get back to that kid I was. You know, and I think I've done that, but like it is painful to be like, I understand why I did certain things.
It's hard to be weird.
It's hard to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honesty is weird.
Yeah. Which is crazy to me. That I can't process. It's difficult for me to get.
Well, I don't remember the moment. There wasn't like a moment where I was like, this is Obi.
Sure. Yeah.
It was just through time. I was like, I keep seeing you.
Yeah.
The vibe you gave me was artist.
Oh, that's kind.
Yeah. And I don't mean just comedian. There's people who's a Bob Keane.
Sure.
As soon as I met Bob, I was like, yep, you're
Bob,
a comedian.
That nigga. Oh my god. Yo. Ooh, let me guess this.
Okay.
Blubber gutted Irish niggas ass right now. This nigga, oh my god, I forgot the exact words, but he had just this bar about like Haitian fucking like the U.S. like invading Haiti and shit, and it was like probably about like pussy or something. I'm like, nigga, what are you talking? Like one of the best jokes. I was like, this nigga.
Bob is a comedian.
Killer.
I drove with him once. I need to have him back on, but because I want to talk to him about this. But I drove with him to a show once, and he was talking to me about how like he almost gets bored with doing well.
Sure.
And you've seen it. He will purposefully tank to just see if he can.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a comedian. That's a comedian.
Yeah.
And I feel like people like us. I don't want to lump you in with me, but I'm gonna.
I said no. There's a commonality. Absolutely.
It's Donald Glover does stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And he is an artist.
Yeah.
And I feel that with you.
Yeah.
And Bob is a comedian.
Yeah.
That's the difference to me.
Yeah.
And you felt like an artist to me.
Oh, thank you.
You felt like a person that needs to let something out.
Yeah.
You felt like someone who thinks outside the box. You felt like someone who oh, okay. You were honest with me. Let's be honest.
Please.
You felt like someone whose sexuality was complicated.
Oh, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Okay, if you feel comfortable.
No, we can't. We'll see. Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay,
whatever.
What's going on?
What's going on? Like, I was talking with my homie William Pike, who's a brilliant, wonderful, hilarious genius. He's an artist, and I love him so much. And we talk about how much we have, like, mommy issues with our sexuality. So, like, niggas would just tell me I'm gay, like, growing up, and I thought, like, and I've tried. I've
had some attempts.
I don't like dudes. I really don't. I don't like masculinity. Just like I said, just like femininity is like, I don't like I don't know, like calling it like, because I'm not bi. Yeah. Some people might call it pan. I think all kinds of women are beautiful, like trans, cis. Yeah. So femininity is like kind of like the North Star of it all. And then like I guess like I'm like a switch. I feel like my energy, like what I do is I adjust to people. So like, how can I say? And I think it even goes with like the growing up an Oreo immigrant kid. Like, so if niggas were like on some like nigga shit, people would see me, Opie's like the good little white boy. And that, but with the white kid, you know the shit.
Balance it out.
Yeah, but like, so but it even continues now. Now it's no longer that. Now I try to stay grounded with my blackness so I don't go insane. But like, even in like liberal Republican shit, like there are niggas who like see me and they're like, oh, Obi's like a Republican. Or like, yeah, if you're dumb, you see me as a Republican. Because like, I don't just subscribe to like just ideas just because it's on a certain side. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, I think conversation also, just like as black people, like I say, like when if someone were to ask me like, what's your actual I'm like, I'm a nigga, and I don't say black, I mean like nigga, like I'm from, because most hood niggas are like apolitical. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's
about survival.
It's about survival. So like, if you know niggas from a certain place, they'll talk about like Trump and all that shit, and people are like, oh, he's a Republican. I'm like, no, that nigga just like, you know, it's just
like hood shit.
Yeah.
Trump does hood shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, you know, yeah, and sometimes I'm just like a contrarian to be a dick, just because like you just can't be like one thing.
Yeah,
I hate that. It pisses me off. It's gross.
Everything you're saying, I connect with intensely, and I don't know how we moved away from sexuality to politics, but even that, and so I think part of it, what you're describing, I would describe as the same for me. So like I'll date trans women.
Sure.
And it's if sexuality is a spectrum, and we go from Jessica Rabbit femininity all the way to Arnold Schwarzenegger in the
masculinity.
80s.
Yeah. What's crazy about that, and I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I just want to point it out why it's all so dumb, is because it's kind of a circle. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger's kind of feminine. Like, that is presentational, very feminine. I don't know.
It's the flag behind you, that yin yang. Yeah. I believe that it's femininity and masculinity work in tandem with each other. It's a complicated, beautiful thing.
Yes.
And for me, if we are to look at it as sliding scale and not a circle,
sure,
I go from hyper feminine all the way to androgynous.
Yeah. Okay.
And androgyny, trans women that this is what gets you in trouble, the way you word things.
Sure. Yeah.
You know the term. I know that this is a complicated thing. LGBTQ get weird about this, but the term passable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
saying? I know
the
term. Yeah.
There are some trans people that would be considered passable
and not passable. Passable.
I'm like, if you are half non-passable, I'm like, I fuck with that.
Sure.
And then everything in between.
Yeah. I really. I have an obsession with like femininity and beauty, you know, so much so like I think I naturally embody it in myself. Like I wouldn't even I consider myself pretty. I don't necessarily I don't consider like I'm handsome, but I think like I have like, you know, like
it's a flow about it.
Yeah.
What is it about femininity that you like?
I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, it's just, first off, I think it's on a fundamental way, it's just like how I was programmed. It was how I was programmed. But even when I think as time has gone on, I've embraced more of my masculinity. But even in that, there's like an elegance to it where like a beautiful man, like a very masculine man, it's like there's an elegance that has to be attributed to femininity. Like you can't. Ryan Gosling as Ken. Oh yeah. No, I'm trying to. Ryan Gosling's very masculine. He's sensitive in his performances. I love him as Ken because the absurdity of Ken is such a feminine portrayal of masculinity. Yeah. Which is what masculinity becomes. It becomes a parody of itself.
When it becomes full circle.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Like even like the horses, like as one of the main motifs of it, it's like, nigga, you're a horse girl again. Like you're a shorty named Savannah now. Yeah.
I get you. It's funny. So one of the things, I have a question for you about your perception of me.
Okay.
And this is a big part of it is coming from something Kyron said.
Okay.
Do you, and wait, I said we flow, we connect.
Sure.
Do you, when you met me, in and versus now? Like, do you perceive me as someone leaning more feminine or masculine?
I still perceive you as masculine, leading, but like there's a tenderness to you. I can feel.
Can you elaborate on the tender?
It's just like I can tell you're a sensitive person. Besides even intellectual, like as a smart person, like I can just feel like your aura. I can just like poke it, and I feel like, you know, like you're not like, you know, not even in like a negative, because it's okay to be like that if that's just your demeanor. Some people, but like I said, you emit, you know what I mean, like. You're expressive. Like there are niggas like who like are built like you who won't be expressive like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I say that because I also got the whole, you gay, you in theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you did theater?
Yeah, I was in theater.
Oh, that's awesome. Nigga, that shit changed. That shit saved me, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, full circle. Okay, so you're a young kid, and then you get sent to Africa.
I get sent to Africa because I'm bad. So, like, I would get in trouble a lot for, like, I would draw a lot of, like, anime comic books and shit like that instead of reading. Yeah. They're like, this nigga. And, like, you know, like.
Does theater happen in Africa?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It kind of connects to the theme we're talking about, like, masculinity and femininity kind of being, like, Africa was. So like,
okay, let me do the thing.
Yeah, Africa was okay. So like in 7th grade, my Catholic school closes. I go to this art school called Cleveland School of the Arts. They didn't fuck with me because I smelled like fish. Because the African food, so kids just like didn't like me. I was like an outcast and shit like that. And then I get sent to Africa. Okay, and I go to an all boys seminary in Africa. So like to anyone who doesn't know, like seminary is a place where they train priests. So you can train to be a priest from age 13 until priesthood, because that's how efficient British colonialism was.
That's
efficient's
the best word.
Insane, because they don't do it here. So like they sent me there. It was basically like it was a boarding school. It was basically military school with prayer. And what was so interesting about that is it was pure hypermasculine, but it was so feminine.
Can you break it down?
I mean, that whole, I'm not ready for it yet, but there's a point in my life where I do want to, like, I don't know, write a movie about just being in that kind of boarding school. Because, like, it was one of the first places that, first off, I was like, my parents weren't there. Like, my parents weren't there. I was living with my uncle and his family when I wasn't at school. And then I was just, like, at school. And it was just, like, its own little ecosystem with its rules and slang. And it was like jail. We did manual labor and shit like that.
I'm going to guess you weren't happy.
No, it was a horrible place. It was horrible. But that was how my parents, they're like, yeah, this is horrible. It's going to be bad for you. We don't want you to be happy. Yeah.
It's very weird and disappointing.
They're not great people. They're not good people.
So you're in Africa, you go into this school, you're miserable, I assume.
Yes.
Any silver lining?
I don't know, it was crazy because, like, I grew up poor, but I was so fucking sheltered. It was so fucking weird. And niggas really just, like, that's why I think I got the first seeds of being, like, a nigga. Like, I asked my dad for, like, advice. Like, what? Because he just never liked me. And I was like, what should I do? Like, because when I went there, everyone was telling me, oh, they're going to steal from you. They're going to steal from you. And shit like that. So I asked my dad for advice. He was like, don't talk to me until you become a man. I have no advice for you. No, he's useless. It didn't work for most of my life. My parents didn't know how to raise me. So they were just like, oh, he's fucked up, we'll send him away. But it taught me, like, a lot of flaws about myself. And how I would use my sensitivity to, like, lash out and shit like that. And that would still be, like, a journey through my adolescence, but it, like, taught me that I kind of sucked. Like, I really sucked. Just, like, for whatever reason, whether it was inborn, how my parents raised me, but, like, I kind of stunk as a person. You know what I mean? And I should be held accountable for certain things. And it taught me how, like, niggas move. Like, my dad told me I should tell on people. Like, that was his advice to me. He was like, oh, someone wants to steal from you, tell on them. Yeah.
So
no, what? Yeah.
So you're in this school, you're learning these things about yourself. When did you go back?
I came back when I was like 15, so 2 years.
Okay, so you did 2 years in Africa in that school.
Yeah.
And why did you get sent back?
Why I get sent back to America?
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole point of it was to make me right. So I just want to finish the point about like being like a nigga.
Yeah.
Nigga, I do think it is as a result of colonialism, the culture of colonialism. Nigga, black people are we keep our secrets to ourselves. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't snitch. You know what I mean? We didn't use that language there, but it was the same attitude. It was like, bro, yeah, this person did this thing to you, like they stole from you or they're bullying you or something, but it's like, you know what will happen to them is going to be worse if you, because the school system
is crazy.
Yeah, and it practices shit that white people, it like slavery, like they would like whip you and do corporal punishments. Yeah, so they're like, dude, like fucking think, bro, like have empathy. Like, what, because that happened to you, even if like you don't care about that person, the group think of the people around you, niggas won't fuck with you. And I had to deal with that. I had to live with myself, like a whole group of people being like, no, you're bad and it's because of your fault. And I had to reckon with that, and it was very valuable. And like I had to like, oh, okay, if you're getting bullied, how do you deal with that? You know what I mean? You know, I fought physically, or like I would use my wits, or you're charming. You just learn how to deal with shit before you go to, and then the adults aren't even the authority. They're useless. You know what I mean? Which is like the cops. It's like they're useless. So
it sounds like you did kind of find out how to be a man.
Yes. Well, that was the thing. So when they were like, you got to get your academics up. And you got to learn about like our native language, okay? Igbo.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mastered Igbo. I like learned it really well. I can't speak it anymore. I've totally forgotten out of spite. But so when I came back, I was 15, and that was the thing. You couldn't raise me anymore. It was a wrap. Like
you were a nigga now.
No, well, not quite yet, but I was an adult.
Okay.
I was an adult. You know, I couldn't like feed myself or anything, but like I think all the lessons you could have imparted on me, like, were already imparted in those 2 years. And initially it was pretty promising for me because I came back really conservative. I was very like homophobic and all of that shit. And, you know, I hated myself and I was going to be a surgeon or whatever.
Your dad was happy?
Well, my dad was out the picture already. My parents, yeah. So like, my dad, they got a divorce when I was in 7th grade.
So when you were gone?
Yeah, while I was gone.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I also found, okay, this is too much. I also found my dad converted, because my dad's side of the family, they're Jewish. The look on your face, yeah. Okay. They're Jewish. So while I was gone, my daddy joins his side of the family in being Jewish. They divorced. He and my mom divorced. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't want to see this nigga. He's a weirdo. I don't fuck with him. So like, I haven't like seen my dad physically since I was 12 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and one of the better decisions I've made in my life.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I wonder. Do you ever wonder if he'll like watch shit like this?
So like, my brothers, one of my little brothers, like my brothers like follow me and shit like that, you know. But like, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't really give a shit.
He wasn't even there to see the results of what he wanted in the first
place. Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, so you come back.
I come back.
And you've grown and you've changed and you're probably pretty hardened.
Yeah, I'm really hardened.
And then what happens?
Well, so like I go to Benedictine High School in Cleveland. Okay. It's another all-boys school by choice. I chose this one.
Why?
Well, first off, I was still very much under like, I guess, the brainwashing of my family, but I'm very grateful because like I also just couldn't handle like girls. Yeah, I just couldn't handle it because like a lot of the bullying I went through was from girls. Like just by being like a weird little spaz of a boy. I think the guys didn't in like middle school didn't even see me as a threat, but they would only like bully you to prove to other girls that they were better. So I was like, I knew that, I understood that. So I was like, okay, if I go to an all boys school, all the politics are gone. And I really needed that time to just like of gestation to like come into myself, Yeah. But yeah, I was like super focused on academics, but I struggled a lot because like the American system's different from like the Nigerian system or like the British system, where like the British or Nigerian system, it's like you learn a lot and then you do an exam or a test. Whereas here you have all these disparate assignments. And I like the other system just because like, okay, I can just get all this information and then just but like shit like homework, like menial tasks like that, I'm not finna do that.
Yeah, America's big on trying to make people who work in factories.
Yes. Not like grow intellectuals.
Yeah.
Which is what they were trying to do in Nigeria.
I can respect that.
Yeah, and I loved it. And because I was American, I had a little privilege where like adults would talk to me a lot. Like the seminarians, like the priests, these are all highly educated people, and they would just humor me and my ideas, and they would tell me big ideas and shit like that. And that was like that was where the seed of like, oh, I want to be like intellectual and into like, knowledge is really valuable, which is why they sent me there. But they did what they wanted was for me to use knowledge for the sake of like a white collar job, not for the sake of innovation
or happiness.
Happiness was that was the big splitting point of that was the huge splitting point. Yeah.
So you come back, you're in this all boys school. Where did theater come into play?
Theater came because I was trying to avoid my house. So like my mom, after like the divorce and the mental abuse she went through with my dad, became very violent and abusive, and she would tell people that I was the one because I was very erratic.
Sure.
But she knew how to play nice really well. And she taught me certain things, just like about how women behave. Just like. Yeah, just like the crocodile tears are crazy.
Is that something we talk about camera off?
No, we don't need to go into it. It's just like,
okay.
Abuse comes in different tastes.
So you come back, you're doing theater to get away from mom.
Yes, well, because I wanted to get into like an Ivy League.
Yeah.
That was like my dream since I was like in kindergarten, because my whole life people were telling me I'm dumb. So I'm like, if I can get into an Ivy League, I'll prove it to everybody wrong. That was like my goal. So, and then going to Nigeria and wanting to like become an intellectual or some shit was like, okay, yeah, this is like the path. So like I would pick up extracurriculars to kind of pad out my resume so I would look good for an Ivy League. So I did a bunch of extracurriculars, and I would stay. I would not go home because if I went home, it would be a problem. So I would stay after school as long as I could. And one time, I don't know how it happened, but like our theater was like on the second floor, and I just wandered up there. And there was like a show, it was like they were prepping for a show. And because of Nigeria, I was like, okay, like I was very nice when I was a teenager. I was a nice kid because I didn't know how to be my personality without being a shithead. Yeah, so a lot of kids just default on being nice just because people give you stuff. It was just that I didn't know I was doing that, but looking back, I was like, oh, I'm nice for this reason.
People pleaser.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I would always ask people, can I help? Can I do this? Just so I wouldn't be at home. So they were like cleaning up for theater. And I was like, oh, can I help? I'm like, oh, the weird African kid. Yeah, sure. Why not, dude? So I just helped. And then I just kept going. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then some of the kids who I really admired, like my friend, like David Bays, who's like a musician and an actor, like he's still one of my best friends now. Like, I would see it. I was like, holy shit, these kids are here. Okay, so like, then the next year I was like, okay, I know what extracurriculars I want to do. Okay, I'm going to be back of house in theater, and I'm going to okay, so theater, and then like, that's where my friend group was. That's where like my friends were, and the people who like understood me and like loved me and like were patient with me. Like, that was the first time I really ever got that. And like, those were the people who kind of showed me like, oh, it's okay to be like sensitive, like a sensitive pussy. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And
so
that's where stand-up comes in.
And that's where stand-up comes.
Yeah.
So you go in to do the theater. You're interested in theater and performing. Then where did?
I wasn't interested in performing at all.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then what happened then?
Well, yeah. So like, by my senior year, I got it. So like, there's this show with Rob Lowe called The Grinder. It came out in 2015. It's about like, Ben Savage and Rob Lowe, and like, Rob Lowe's like this actor who's plays a lawyer on TV, like a sexy lawyer. His brother is like a real lawyer, and their dad is like a real lawyer, right? But the dad is proud. Everyone loves Rob Lowe because he's just like hot and charming, and he's like, objection. Everyone's like, fuck. So I'm watching this. It's like a great show. It's just like funny, great, and like, I'm getting into comedies, and like, but I just like, he was just like a psycho. He was like obsessed with performing at every turn, and I was really shy about performing just because people made me shy about it growing up. They're like, of course you would. So I just was like, if I'm gonna do anything, it'll be writing. You know what I mean? But like, that just put like a battery in my back where I'm like, oh fuck, like, I just want to experience like creating something with myself and creating a new identity like that. So like, it really put a passion in me for performing and acting. And like, yeah, that's why I started like performing, and it was that group of friends that showed me like my first stand-up and shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for them.
I'm so grateful, man. I'm so fucking grateful.
Where do you think you'd be if it wasn't for walking up into that room one day?
This is such a dramatic answer. I think I hope. No, don't say that. That's not. I may have killed myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
I mean, because I wanted to kill myself all the time. Right. And that was like the only. I couldn't have made it. I couldn't have made it through medical school.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Why? Dude, I don't know, dude. I would be so fucked up. Mm-hmm. I would be so fucked up.
I really.
No, yeah, it's just, yeah.
No, I get you. I get you. I relate to what you're saying. There's this thing where people want to put you in a box. Mm-hmm. And if you're the type of person, there's, again, that spark, that thing.
Yeah.
That I think I described you as you need to get something out.
Yes.
I feel the same. Mm-hmm. And there's certain people, like for me, I remember growing up and being really jealous of the quiet, bowl cut Asian kids.
Yo! You want to know what's crazy?
Yeah, what?
Niggas think like in my early, like the time pre-Nigeria, that's who the fuck I was kicking it with, bro. People think it's like, oh, because you talk this way, you were hanging with white people. No. Asian people, bro. Those were my niggas, bro.
Yeah, Asian people know how to assimilate into America in such a way that is fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of their culture, from what I can observe, is about tradition and order. So,
But I was always envious of them because I was the weird. I always had energy. I wanted to do. I had so many things. But the little Asian kid, I remember Stephen Chen and Kevin Yao or some shit.
Sure.
They would sit there quietly with the little bowl cuts. Yeah. And they would do
their parents doing them dirty, by the way.
I believe it.
Doing that. No, not even like on a man, swag my nigga up, bro. With the bowl cut, that's crazy.
The bowl cut was intense back then.
The bowl cut, my mom would do me bald.
Same.
That's the nigga bowl cut.
Yeah. The one all the way around. I would be jealous of those kids because, and I would try my goddamnedest to be that, and I just wasn't.
Sure.
And then and I know you got excited when you said when you found out I was in theater.
Yeah.
It was positive in some way.
Okay.
I was with white people.
Okay.
And white people are racist.
Yeah. I don't know. I was, in my theater, it was white people. Like, I was one of the few black people, but like, I got lucky in certain ways. I mean, there was still racism in my school, but it was just, the school was also very integrated. It was like, it's a very mixed school. So I think it was just like, they were used to being around.
Yeah, mine was not.
Really?
They would, oh my God, dude. Every time I would try to make little movies, and they were terrible. They were terrible.
Yeah,
because I'm fucking 14, 15.
Yeah, you're a child.
I would have teachers shit on. I told this story before, and I'll tell it again because it makes me mad. I will not say the teacher's name because I'm working on not saying people's names. It's not necessary. But, ooh, it makes me mad. Get ready. So, I remember I watched my first musical.
Okay.
And it was Bye Bye Birdie.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the shit.
Yeah.
There's colors and dancing.
Oh,
it was amazing.
Yes.
And it inspired me. Anytime something, I don't know if you feel the same, but anytime something inspires me, if I watch a movie,
you gotta make it.
I need to start making shit. And I'm immediately like, oh, what can I do? And I remember Friday was one of my favorite movies at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Friday could be, and mind you, I came from a place where everyone kept saying, I don't see color. Racism isn't.
Oh.
It doesn't matter, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And so with that same logic in mind, I was like, well, you could make Friday a stage play.
Well, that's brilliant.
It is. You can totally.
No, it's like perfect because it's like the sets are so simple.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's in a neighborhood.
It's in a neighborhood.
And I was like,
that's still like a good idea. Nigga, they just made Mean Girls
into a musical.
And hey, Tina Fey's one of the gods, but I'm not finna talk about a new movie, you feel me? But like, let's just stop at the musical. They made that little white girl from Africa into a musical. Yeah. Now they're making it back into a movie. Hey, call Ice Cube. Let's call Ice Cube.
But dude, I was so excited, and I found the script online, and I took out all the niggas and the fucks, and I like tweaked it to make it a script.
I love a white Debo. A white Debo's crazy.
Still cockeyed.
Yeah.
But so I bring this script to the theater teacher, who not only shits on it, but announces to all the other kids. She says, Aaron tried to pass off Friday as his own script and something like that. Yeah, on some bullshit, which is not what I did. But I couldn't I'm a kid. I can't articulate that to anybody. And it was like that. And I pushed.
I'm so sorry.
It's cool, man.
Please finish. But wow.
Yeah, she's a piece of shit, and she chain smokes. She's probably got cancer.
What's her name?
I'll tell you after. She was gross, bro. She was gross. She had a crush. She had this thing about Drake Bell.
The pedophile?
Yeah, but this is before that came. And she.
No, I love how it's like, hey man, don't do any. Let's be careful when we talk. And I'm trying to. I'm like, what is?
But she whatever. It's not about her. So, but that's just, mind you, that's one instance, one example. Yeah. It was 4 years of I want to try this, man. You can't do that. Yeah. I want to try this. Well, that's stupid, Aaron. Well, I want to try this. Well, that's not really good. And I just kept going.
I'm so sorry, man.
Thank you. Yeah. I want to say this. I'm going to say a positive, though.
Sure.
I don't like to. First off, there's no. I'm not going to give any credit to these people for my success.
No.
But what I will say is black excellence does shine through the struggle.
Yes, it does.
I have something more to elaborate.
Please elaborate. It just sucks that we deal with those circumstances at all. Yeah. Please finish. Please fucking finish.
All of the little white boys and girls that got all the praise, that were like, you're gonna be famous. You're a great actor. All them niggas done.
Sure.
None of them acting. None of them doing comedy.
Sure.
done. And I'm the one
That's
in
awesome.
Chicago in Second City. I'm the one who's got the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's
and
like,
you're funny as fuck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But it's like I wanted that. White people feel entitled to so much.
Sure.
And it makes you weak.
Oh yeah. That's why I said they're not ready to reckon with humanity or reality. Like it's not built for that. That's why it's such an artificial. What I will say about America is it's so artificial.
Yeah.
It's so artificial. But like coming from where I come from, I love artificial. I love artificial.
Please elaborate.
I don't have. I'm tired.
Okay.
I'm hungry, and how do
you
you go?
Apple?
Huh?
You want an apple?
No, I just mean metaphorically.
Oh, okay. I got apples and chips and shit.
Healthy ass nigga.
No. You do candy. You want to do candy?
I got a fucking Jolly Rancher.
Just one Jolly Rancher?
Well, cause like I ate the other one. Well, it's like a little fucking.
You have a loose Jolly Rancher.
It's like a lollipop.
I'm concerned.
See,
for
this
you.
how niggas. This is why niggas wanted to beat my ass. Right now. I'm fucking walking around with a fucking.
Why do you just have one lollipop?
Cause I ate the other one.
That's almost worse. You had two lollipops.
Yeah, I was on the train. You know.
This is wild. But anyway.
No, I don't know. And like I said, it's all about balance. I feel like even with like the people who date me, like they don't. It's like.
Can we get into that?
Sure.
Dating white women?
Sure.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Is it exclusively white women?
It's not like a choice. It's just like I don't know. It's just like whoever likes me, you know.
That's what you're going for?
Well, I mean, it definitely has created a bias. I'm not gonna be dishonest about that. As ugly as that is saying, but like.
So white women have a tendency to gravitate towards you.
I think probably because I was raised to make white people comfortable.
Samesies.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's
samesies.
Yeah, no, but like it's just like a certain type of culture. I mean, I went to private school.
Sure.
You know, like
they're picking up on something that makes them feel comfortable.
I'm sure.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. I don't think I actively make them comfortable now, but at this point, my psyche is so warped.
I see. Okay, I told you my little story.
Sure. Which, by the way, I just, for space for that, insane. Yeah. I relate to it. I've gone through similar things. I mean, I was fucking sent to Africa. That's one of the privileges I get to have. I can speak on something like that because, like they literally sent me away. So like that's beautiful that you truly, and I'm so fucking sorry that you went through that. And it's insane because I know there are black children right now going through shit like that. Special, beautiful, powerful black children who it's might not happen to be as resilient unless because also black people also encouraged me. Like in the pursuit of I remember one older black lady when I was like right before the summer before I got sent to Africa. She just came to me reading like manga or something. She was like, hey, she's just looking at it. She's like, look, seeing a ne'er-do-well young black man. And she's like, what's going on? Yeah. Like, I don't know. And she's like, how are you doing at school? I'm like, bad. And she's like, why? What are you doing bad? I'm like, I'm bad at math. And she was like, why? I was like, I don't know. I'm just bad at math. She's like, why can't you get better? And that never occurred to me. That you could just work at something, get better. And it was like a lot of niggas in the hood who would just see certain me and just and sometimes people don't have that. So it's just crazy to hear,
I had a moment like that. Mm-hmm. I also thought, I'm just stupid because
well, they literally just tell you that.
Yeah. You're dumb. You can't do whatever. But our school system doesn't work for a person like me and vice versa. Right? Imagine. And so I always wanted to do shit, whatever. And then, but it wasn't stand up at the time.
Sure.
It was movies and acting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But that requires white people to accept you.
Yes.
You have to make them comfortable to get in there.
Yes.
And then be a slave a few years.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, that's what a PA is.
So, but my 18th birthday, I wanted to buy a bass guitar.
Okay.
I watched the movie I Love You Man. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No.
For anyone that's a little older, it's Slap at the Bass.
Okay,
There's Paul Rudd and Jason Segel.
Okay.
And there's this joke about slapping bass guitars.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really funny. I want to play bass.
Wait, you know Drake? I just found this out. Drake's uncle is the one who invented that.
The bass? Slap
bass technique.
Really?
I think Larry Graham? Larry Graham?
have to look into that.
Lawrence Graham? I think Larry Graham.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm like impulsive. I'm like, I want to play bass guitar.
Yeah.
And I got birthday money. I was going to buy bass guitar. And my mom was like, don't do that. And she was very not supportive of anything in the arts. She also had this like, be a doctor.
Yeah.
And my friend Matt, love him. He's my editor for this short film I made.
Okay.
I got to show you.
Sure.
Yeah. So he was like, I was just down. I was sad, and I was like, I guess I just want. I'll put the. He was like, well, Aaron, you want the bass guitar, right? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, it's your money. Just go buy the bass guitar.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, that was like one of those pivotal moments.
Yes.
Because learning bass guitar, I could do it in my room. I didn't have people fucking with me, so I can mess up. I can be shitty at it for a long time,
which is what you have to be good at anything.
Right. And when I learned how to play bass, and it clicked, something clicked in my head where I was like, oh, I can just learn how to do anything. Anything that I want to learn how to do, I can learn. So now I got jujitsu. I'm learning how to draw. I'm making films. I'm doing all this stuff.
Yes.
Because someone, black usually, is like, no man, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally the key.
Okay, we're gonna have to wrap it up because I do have.
Oh shit!
I know. We can do a round two.
Sure.
But I have two questions.
Yeah. I know. We kept going on.
That's good. You good.
Yeah, but anything you want. Yeah.
I have two questions.
Sure.
First question is if you could say anything you wanted, like you go back in time and talk to yourself. Okay. Back in the past. Okay. Let's say in Africa. Okay. What would you say to yourself?
Stay in choir. I didn't. Yeah. So that's where So my whole shit was I'm gonna kill the academics so I can get the fuck out of there. Mm-hmm. So I got in a choir. I don't even remember how, but like the church choir, and it was one of the most beautiful, profound. Like the choir in Africa, dude. Just these Africanized hymns with Latin and shit. Sometimes French. Beautiful. Seeing young people in ecstasy, bro. Just praying to God. Now, I don't believe in Jesus, okay? I'm an agnostic Jew. But, like, I do believe in spirit, and that was, like, the first time I got to see it and feel it. Harmony, bro. Harmony. And I was in it, and there's the seminarian who like would look after me, auxiliary Jerome, seminarian Jerome, and he like was in the choir, and he had this big like a very confident baritone that he belted out, and like he was very involved with the choir. And he may be, I don't think he'll ever hear this, but like he was, a lot of the people I looked up to were very feminine men. Father Obina, that we had, is my namesake, just a tiny little light skinned man with like beautiful eyes and sung beautifully, and like these people would talk to me, and like. Yeah, I stopped going to choir, even though I liked it so much, because I thought it was the wrong thing for me to do. And when I was leaving Nigeria, and I was kind of like, it was kind of like when you finish your game, and I was like, okay, I've kind of finished. So you're doing side quests? Like, I would like use my privilege as like the American kid, and like, oh, can I just sit around the choir? And that was the happiest I ever was there. That was the happiest I ever was there. And eventually I did join choir in Benedictine. But like throughout my life, even as a kid, I would be in choir and then I'd leave it. I would be in choir and then I'd leave it. And like I was just like, I don't know, man. Like that's what I would, because I think that represented a lot for me. who I was. Because I don't think I could change how I was treated, how I was looked at, how I am looked at. But I think I could have,
That's something you had control over.
Yeah.
Okay, the second question is you got to look into the camera.
Okay.
Okay, so pretend this is you 5 years from now.
Okay.
And you can say whatever you want to yourself 5 years from now.
Okay. Hey, man, I know you're trying.